In this world, we are constantly faced with the judgments and criticisms of others. It is the nature of the human condition to cast opinions upon one another, yet we must ask ourselves, do these judgments define us? Does the voice of another shape the core of our being? The Stoic philosopher, grounded in wisdom, teaches us that external opinions hold no power over the tranquil mind. It is not what others say, but how we respond that shapes our fate. The power to handle criticism and judgment lies within our grasp, for we are the masters of our emotions and reactions. In this journey, we shall explore how the principles of Stoicism equip us to rise above the noise of judgment and to cultivate a life of inner peace, resilience, and strength. Through the teachings of those who have walked this path before us, we will discover that it is not the criticism we encounter, but the strength we cultivate within ourselves that determines our true character. 1. Understanding criticism and judgment. Criticism and judgment are inevitable aspects of human existence. No matter where we go or what we do, we will inevitably encounter the opinions of others. These opinions, whether they are spoken directly to us or whispered in our absence, can feel like an attack upon our very being. In the eyes of many, criticism is a threat, something to be feared, something to be avoided. We see it as a challenge to our self-worth, a direct assault on our character. Yet the Stoic sage understands that these judgments, these external assessments, are nothing more than fleeting words, incapable of altering the essence of who we truly are. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the understanding that we cannot control the thoughts, actions, or judgments of others. The world is filled with people who have their own perspectives, their own beliefs, and their own ways of viewing the world. Some of these views may align with ours, while others will sharply diverge. What is critical, however, is not the judgment itself, but how we allow it to affect us. The Stoic practice demands that we separate the things we can control from the things they cannot. Criticism falls into the latter category, is beyond our control. The words of others, the judgments they cast are all beyond our reach. When we understand this distinction, we begin to realize that the power criticism holds over us is of our own making. If we allow the opinions of others to penetrate our peace of mind, then we have granted them the power to disturb our inner tranquility. It is our own attachment to these judgments that causes us to suffer, not the judgment itself. The Stoic is not immune to criticism, rather they are indifferent to it. They do not allow it to shake their resolve or diminish their sense of self-worth. To live as a Stoic is to recognize that the judgment of others is not a reflection of who we are, but of who they are. The thoughts, assumptions, and interpretations of others are shaped by their experiences, their desires, and their limitations. They are not universal truths. Consider the nature of those who criticize. Often their words stem from insecurity, jealousy, or a desire to feel superior. They project their own limitations onto others, using criticism as a means to elevate themselves. Recognizing this truth allows the Stoic to dismiss judgment not with disdain, but with understanding. A critical person may be revealing more about their own inner struggles than about the object of their criticism. To become disturbed by such judgments is to fall into the trap of caring about something we cannot change: the thoughts of others. A Stoic leader is one who rises above the judgments of the crowd. They do not seek to please everyone, for they understand that such an effort would be futile. The Stoic understands that to live virtuously is to live according to their own principles, not the fleeting whims of others. True worth lies not in the opinions of the many, but in the steadfast commitment to one's own character. As Epictetus teaches us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This applies to the judgments of others. It is not the judgment itself that disturbs us, but the meaning we attach to it. If we believe that criticism diminishes us, it will. If we believe that judgment has the power to define our worth, it will. But if we recognize that criticism is simply a reflection of another's perspective, and that we are the ones who determine our value, then the weight of judgment is lifted from our shoulders. The Stoic does not measure their worth by the standards of others, they measure it by their adherence to virtue, by their commitment to wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. The wise Stoic knows that judgment is fleeting, and that it is their internal state of peace, grounded in virtue, that will stand the test of time. Let us then approach criticism not as an assault on our identity, but as an opportunity for reflection. When we are criticized, let us ask ourselves, does this judgment hold any truth? Is there wisdom in the words spoken? If so, we can use it as a tool for self-improvement. If not, we can discard it, knowing that it is not a reflection of our worth, but of the limitations of the critic. A critical remark does not diminish the value of our work, nor does it define who we are as individuals. It is simply one voice among many. The Stoic does not allow themselves to be swayed by the noise of the crowd. They listen with discernment, they reflect with wisdom, and they respond with calm. Criticism becomes a teacher, not an enemy, when we detach ourselves from the need for external validation. To truly understand criticism and judgment is to recognize that they hold no inherent power over us. They are but transient thoughts, spoken in the moment and fading as quickly as they are voiced. Our task is to remain unmoved, to cultivate a mind that is not shaken by the judgments of others, but one that remains anchored in virtue. Only then can we truly master ourselves and our responses to the world around us. The power of Stoicism lies not in avoiding criticism, but in our ability to rise above it, to remain true to our own principles, and to live with integrity, no matter the judgments cast upon us. 2. The Stoic approach to external opinions. The world is brimming with voices, each offering its own opinion, judgment, and perspective. In every corner of society we encounter the views of others, whether they are spoken directly to us, shared among our peers, or delivered through the endless stream of media and technology. These opinions often shape how we perceive ourselves and our actions. In a world so rife with judgment, it is easy to become ensnared by the need to seek validation from others. Yet the Stoic teaches us that our peace of mind lies not in the approval or disapproval of the masses, but in the strength of our own character and the clarity of our own judgment. The Stoic approach to external opinions is rooted in one fundamental principle: we cannot control the thoughts and actions of others. The world is vast, filled with countless minds, each shaped by their own experiences, desires, and limitations. These minds will inevitably pass judgment upon what they observe, often based on their own biases, fears, or insecurities. The Stoic sage understands this well. They know that to seek the approval of others is to surrender one's inner peace to forces that are completely beyond our control. Consider how easily we are swayed by the opinions of those around us. In moments of uncertainty, we often look to others for guidance, seeking affirmation for the choices we make, the actions we take, and the path we choose to walk. But in doing so, we give away our own power. When we allow ourselves to be influenced by external judgments, we surrender the autonomy of our decisions. To live with the strength of a Stoic is to make choices that are aligned with our own principles, regardless of how others may view us. The opinions of others are fleeting, they come and go, often changing with the winds of circumstance. What remains, however, is our commitment to live virtuously, to act with wisdom, and to uphold the values we deem most important. The Stoic's relationship with external opinions is one of indifference. This does not mean that the Stoic ignores the views of others entirely, but rather that they do not allow these opinions to dictate their actions or disturb their peace of mind. To live in accordance with virtue is to recognize that external opinions, no matter how loud or forceful, cannot harm us unless we allow them to. The wise Stoic does not seek validation from the crowd, for they understand that the true measure of one's worth is not found in the fleeting approval of others, but in the enduring strength of one's character. As Epictetus famously taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. External opinions are not in our control, but our reactions to them are. The Stoic does not react impulsively to the judgments of others. They respond with clarity, with reason, and with a mind unclouded by the desire for approval. To live without the need for external validation is to experience freedom. It is the freedom that comes from knowing that our worth is not contingent upon the ever-changing opinions of others, but upon our commitment to live a virtuous life. The Stoic knows that no matter what others may say, they cannot diminish their intrinsic value. A person's worth is not measured by the praise or criticism they receive, but by the strength of their character, the wisdom with which they navigate life's challenges, and the virtue they embody in every action. In this way, the Stoic remains unmoved by the opinions of others, not because they are indifferent to others, but because they are anchored in the certainty of their own principles. It is through this clarity of self that the Stoic finds true peace, undisturbed by the noise of the world around them. To adopt the Stoic approach to external opinions, we must first recognize the futility of seeking approval from others. The approval of others is transient, and it is often based on factors that are beyond our control: appearance, status, material success, or even the fickle preferences of those around us. Yet none of these things can determine our worth. To place our happiness and sense of self on the approval of others is to build our house on shifting sands. It is only through grounding ourselves in our own values and principles that we create a foundation that cannot be shaken. The Stoic does not seek to alienate others or to disregard their opinions entirely. Rather, they strive to cultivate the wisdom to discern when external opinions are helpful and when they are simply distractions. If the judgment of others contains wisdom, the Stoic welcomes it, reflecting upon it with an open mind. If it is rooted in ignorance or malice, the Stoic dismisses it, understanding that it is not a reflection of their true nature. In this way, the Stoic is not bound by the opinions of others, but is free to live according to their own sense of virtue and purpose. This detachment from external opinions does not mean we live in isolation or disregard the perspectives of those around us. Instead, it means we remain rooted in our own values, unaffected by the external noise that seeks to sway us from our true path. The Stoic lives with integrity, acting in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, regardless of how others may perceive them. By doing so, they cultivate an inner strength that no external judgment can undermine. The path of the Stoic is not one of indifference to the world or its opinions, but rather one of discernment, wisdom, and self-mastery. The Stoic lives in the world, but they are not governed by it. The opinions of others are like the wind; they may blow fiercely, but they cannot break the mountain. And so the Stoic stands firm, rooted in their own principles, unshaken by the judgments of the world. This is the power of the Stoic approach to external opinions: to live with clarity, to remain true to oneself, and to find peace in the knowledge that our worth is not determined by the fleeting judgments of others, but by the unchanging strength of our character. 3. Recognizing the nature of others' words. To live in the world is to be surrounded by words spoken, written, and implied. Every day we encounter countless remarks, comments, and judgments that come from those around us. Some words are kind, some are harsh, some are neutral, and some are entirely unwarranted. Yet, regardless of the tone, the content, or the context, the wise Stoic understands that the words of others are not reflections of their own self-worth, but rather reflections of the minds from which they originate. The Stoic does not take offense, nor do they seek to retaliate. Instead, they approach the words of others with wisdom and clarity, recognizing them for what they truly are, expressions of the speaker's inner state, not of their own character. One of the greatest dangers we face in life is allowing the words of others to shape our self-image. When we hear criticism, judgment, or even praise, there is an instinctual desire to internalize those words. We allow them to seep into our thoughts, molding how we perceive ourselves and how we navigate the world. This is the path of weakness, for it places our sense of self in the hands of others. The Stoic, however, takes a different approach. They understand that the words of others are not the truth of who they are merely expressions of the speaker's personal views, colored by their own experiences, desires, and limitations. Every word spoken by another person is, in a sense, an external event. It comes from someone outside of us, and it is shaped by their own history, their emotions, and their worldview. To believe that these words hold any intrinsic power over us is to misunderstand their true nature. Whether the words are harsh or kind, they cannot alter the reality of who we are unless we allow them to. Words are not inherently good or bad, they are neutral. It is only through our own perceptions and reactions that they take on meaning. A harsh criticism is no more harmful than a kind compliment unless we attach ourselves to it and allow it to define us. The Stoic approach to the words of others is one of careful reflection and discernment. When criticism is leveled against us, we must ask ourselves, is there truth in these words? If there is, we should accept them as an opportunity for growth. If there is no truth, we must dismiss them, knowing that they are a projection of the speaker's mind, not an accurate reflection of our own worth. The Stoic does not respond impulsively to criticism, nor do they allow themselves to be swept away by praise. They listen with equanimity, assessing the words for their value, but never allowing those words to disturb their inner peace. This ability to recognize the nature of others' words is a form of mastery. It is the mastery of understanding that no external event, no matter how loud or persistent, has the power to shake the foundation of our character, unless we permit it. The Stoic knows that words are fleeting, just like the judgments they express. What is said today may be forgotten tomorrow. A compliment given in passing may not be sincere, just as a harsh word may be spoken in anger or ignorance. The Stoic therefore listens not with attachment but with clarity. They accept words for what they are, external events, and evaluate them based on their truth, not their emotional charge. This detachment from the opinions of others requires a deep understanding of human nature. We must recognize that people speak not only from their own experiences but also from their own desires, fears, and biases. A person who criticizes another may do so because they feel threatened or insecure. They may seek to bring others down in order to elevate themselves. Likewise, a person who praises another may do so with the hope of receiving something in return or out of a desire to create a favorable impression. Both praise and criticism, in this sense, are often less about the person they are directed toward and more about the speaker's inner state. The wise Stoic does not take offense at this. Instead, they recognize the truth of their own character and are not swayed by the fluctuations of external judgment. They understand that to be disturbed by the words of others is to place the power of their peace into the hands of those around them. It is not the words themselves that matter, but how we choose to interpret them. If we see criticism as a reflection of our own shortcomings, we will suffer. But if we view criticism as an opportunity for self-examination, we can grow. If we see praise as a validation of our worth, we risk becoming dependent on the approval of others. But if we see it simply as a passing remark, we can appreciate it without becoming attached. The ability to detach from the words of others is not a denial of the impact that others' words can have, but rather an acknowledgement that we control how we respond to them. The Stoic remains unshaken by the judgments of others, for they know that their worth does not come from the opinions of the crowd, but from their own actions, their own virtues, and their own character. They are free because they are not beholden to the ever-changing judgments of the world. To cultivate this wisdom, we must practice discernment in our daily lives. When faced with the words of others, whether they are praise, criticism, or something in between, we must pause and ask ourselves, what is the truth in these words? If the words are constructive, we can take them to heart, knowing that they offer an opportunity for growth. If they are not, we can dismiss them, knowing that they are simply reflections of the speaker's mind, not of our own worth. The Stoic's task, then, is to remain clear-headed in the face of external opinions, to listen with discernment, and to cultivate the inner strength to accept only what is true. When we understand the nature of others' words, we free ourselves from the need for external validation. We no longer look to others for approval, nor do we allow their judgments to diminish our sense of self. Instead, we stand firm in the knowledge that we are the creators of our own worth, and that the only opinion that truly matters is the one we hold of ourselves. Through this practice, we gain mastery over our reactions, and in doing so, we grow ever closer to the Stoic ideal of living a life that is truly free. 4. Embracing control over response. In life, we cannot control what others say or do, nor can we dictate the circumstances that unfold before us. The world is unpredictable, and the actions of others are often beyond our influence. But amidst this chaos, there is one domain over which we have complete control: our own response. It is this power, the ability to choose our response to external events, that is the true strength of the Stoic. To embrace control over our response is to step into the arena of self-mastery, where we are not slaves to the world around us, but the sovereign rulers of our own minds. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that we are not victims of the world, nor are we powerless in the face of criticism, judgment, or adversity. What truly matters is not what happens to us, but how we choose to react to it. This is a central tenet of Stoic thought, and it is one that can transform our entire approach to life. It is easy to believe that external events, whether they are the words of others, the actions of those around us, or the twists and turns of fate, are the things that determine our happiness and peace. But in reality, it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our reactions to them. Take, for example, criticism. When we are criticized, we often feel as though we are being attacked, that our very identity is being questioned. We may become defensive, angry, or hurt. These reactions are natural, but they are not inevitable. The Stoic knows that they have the power to choose how they respond. Rather than being swept away by the emotion of the moment, the Stoic pauses and reflects. They ask themselves, what is the truth in this criticism? Does it have value? If the criticism is constructive, they will accept it, learning and growing from it. If it is unfounded, they will dismiss it, knowing that it has no power to alter their sense of self. In either case, they have chosen their response deliberately, not out of impulsive emotion, but from a place of wisdom and self-control. This ability to control our response is what separates the wise from the foolish. The fool reacts to every slight, every criticism, every judgment with anger or defensiveness, allowing the world to dictate their emotional state. The Stoic, however, remains calm, centered, and grounded. They know that their emotional state is theirs to control, and they do not relinquish that power to external events. When faced with an attack, they respond with equanimity, never allowing themselves to be swept away by the storm of external judgment. This control over our response is not a form of suppression. It does not mean that we ignore or repress our feelings. On the contrary, the Stoic fully acknowledges their emotions, but they do not allow them to dictate their actions. Anger, frustration, and hurt are natural responses, but the Stoic does not allow these emotions to control their behavior. They feel their emotions, acknowledge their presence, but then they take a step back, reflect, and choose how to respond with wisdom. It is in this pause, this moment of reflection, that the Stoic finds their power. In this space, they have the freedom to choose a response that is aligned with their values, their principles, and their vision of a virtuous life. The Stoic also recognizes that the world is filled with challenges and obstacles, and that these events are not inherently good or bad. They are simply opportunities for growth. A difficult situation is not a burden to be endured, but a chance to demonstrate wisdom, courage, and resilience. The Stoic approaches adversity with the understanding that they control their response to it. They do not blame the circumstances, nor do they wish for things to be different. Instead, they accept what is, and they find the strength within themselves to respond in the best way possible. This is true freedom, the freedom to choose our response regardless of the external circumstances. The Stoic knows that external events will always be beyond their control, but their response to those events is entirely within their grasp. They are not dependent on the approval of others, the outcome of their actions, or the stability of the world around them for their happiness. Their happiness and peace are internal, and they are the masters of their own emotional state. The power of response lies not only in how we react to others, but in how we respond to our own thoughts and feelings. The Stoic does not allow themselves to be controlled by negative thoughts or self-doubt. When feelings of inadequacy or fear arise, the Stoic does not engage with them. Instead, they recognize them as transient thoughts, not truths. They choose to focus on what is within their control, their actions, their decisions, and their thoughts. By refusing to allow negative emotions to dictate their behavior, the Stoic maintains their inner peace and clarity of purpose. To embrace control over response is to acknowledge that we are not victims of circumstance. We are not defined by the words of others, the actions of others, or the trials we face. We are defined by how we respond. In this sense, we are the creators of our own reality. When we choose to respond with wisdom, compassion, and self-discipline, we shape our world in accordance with virtue. When we allow ourselves to be swept away by anger, fear, or frustration, we diminish our power and relinquish control over our own lives. This is the core of Stoic resilience, the ability to meet every circumstance with calmness, clarity, and strength. It is not that the Stoic is immune to challenges or criticism, but that they approach these things with a steady mind. They know that life will throw obstacles in their path, but they also know that they have the power to choose how to face those obstacles. Through the practice of self-control, reflection, and discernment, the Stoic is able to maintain their peace and integrity, regardless of what is happening around them. The more we practice this control over our responses, the stronger we become. With each challenge, we learn to respond with greater wisdom and grace. With each criticism, we become more adept at discerning its value and dismissing what is untrue. The more we embrace our power to choose our response, the more we cultivate the inner strength that Stoicism teaches. In this way, we grow not only in resilience but in virtue, for it is our responses to the world that truly define us. Ultimately, embracing control over our response is not about becoming emotionless or detached from the world. It is about becoming the masters of our own inner world. It is about knowing that while we cannot control the actions of others or the events that unfold, we can always control how we respond. And in this control lies our greatest power, the power to live a life that is true to our values, no matter the circumstances. The Stoic who has embraced this power is unshaken by criticism, judgment, or adversity. They remain steadfast, true to themselves, and at peace. For they know that the only thing that truly matters is how they choose to respond to the world around them. 5. The power of detachment from outcome. One of the greatest sources of inner turmoil in life is our attachment to outcomes. We often find ourselves investing tremendous energy and emotion into the result of our actions, the approval we seek from others, or the success we wish to achieve. The desire for a particular outcome can create an overwhelming sense of anxiety, frustration, or disappointment when things do not go as planned. Yet, the Stoic teaches us that true peace and strength lie in detaching ourselves from the outcome. When we free ourselves from the need to control the results, we gain the ability to act with clarity, focus, and wisdom, unshaken by the unpredictability of the world. The Stoic understands that while we have the power to choose our actions, we do not have the power to control the results. The world is vast and countless factors are at play in determining the outcome of any situation. We cannot control the actions of others, the weather, the economy, or the vast web of circumstances that influence the world around us. To become attached to a specific outcome is to place our happiness and peace in the hands of forces that are beyond our control. The Stoic therefore focuses not on the result, but on the process itself, the actions, the effort, and the alignment with virtue. It is in this approach that true freedom is found. Consider a person who embarks on a difficult task, whether it is a career goal, a personal project, or even a simple endeavor. If that person becomes fixated on a particular outcome, they will likely experience frustration if things do not go as expected. If they are focused on the result, they may be overwhelmed by doubt, anxiety, and fear of failure. However, if they focus on the quality of their actions, the effort, the integrity, and the commitment they bring to the task, they are liberated from the need for a specific result. The outcome may still be uncertain, but their peace remains intact because their focus is on what they can control, the process. The Stoic teaches us that the only thing we truly own in life is our own actions. The results of our efforts are not ours to control, no matter how much we wish them to be. When we relinquish attachment to the outcome, we are freed from the emotional roller coaster of success and failure. If we succeed, we are grateful, but we do not let the success define us. If we fail, we accept it with equanimity, knowing that failure is part of life's journey and offers opportunities for growth and learning. In both success and failure, the Stoic remains anchored in their own sense of virtue and wisdom. By detaching from the outcome, we shift our focus to what is truly important: our character, our actions, and the values we uphold. Success is fleeting, and failure is inevitable, but the cultivation of virtue is lasting. A Stoic does not define their worth by external circumstances or outcomes. Instead, they define themselves by their commitment to live in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Whether their efforts result in success or failure, they remain true to these principles, for it is in the pursuit of virtue, not the pursuit of outcome, that they find fulfillment. This principle is crucial when it comes to handling criticism and judgment. If we are attached to a specific outcome, such as the approval or acceptance of others, we risk being deeply wounded when that outcome does not materialize. When we live for the approval of others, we give them power over our emotional state. The Stoic, however, remains detached from external validation. They do not seek to please others, nor do they let the judgment of others dictate their actions. Instead, they focus on doing what is right, what is virtuous, and what is aligned with their own values. The judgment of others is irrelevant, for the Stoic knows that their worth is not defined by the opinions of the crowd. Let us reflect on a simple example. Imagine a person who has worked tirelessly to complete a project. They pour their energy, creativity, and commitment into the task, but when it is finished, it is met with silence or criticism from others. The person may feel hurt, rejected, or disillusioned. However, the Stoic would approach this situation differently. They would acknowledge the disappointment, but they would not allow it to define their sense of worth. They would remind themselves that they cannot control the reactions of others, but they can control the quality of their effort and the integrity with which they pursued the task. Whether or not others recognize their effort is irrelevant, for their worth is not determined by the opinions of others, but by the virtues they embody. Detaching from the outcome does not mean that we cease to care about the results of our actions. It means that we free ourselves from the emotional turmoil that comes from being overly invested in them. The Stoic does not approach life with indifference, but with the understanding that attachment to the outcome is a form of suffering. We may strive for success, but we do not let success define us. We may fear failure, but we do not let failure defeat us. We remain centered in the knowledge that our true worth lies not in the outcome, but in the integrity of our actions. This principle also applies to our relationships with others. We often become attached to the idea that others should behave in a certain way, or that our relationships should unfold according to our expectations. But when we place these expectations on others, we risk disappointment and frustration. The Stoic instead accepts others as they are without the need to change them or control their behavior. We do our part, we act with kindness and integrity, but we do not attach ourselves to the outcome of our interactions. If others respond with gratitude, we are content. If they respond with indifference or criticism, we accept it with equanimity. Our peace comes not from the behavior of others, but from the quality of our own actions. To cultivate detachment from the outcome is to recognize the limits of our control. We are responsible for our actions, but not for the results of those actions. This understanding brings with it a deep sense of freedom. We are free from the tyranny of expectation and the anxiety of hoping for specific results. We are free to act with integrity, to pursue what is virtuous, and to find fulfillment in the process itself. We are free to live in accordance with our values, regardless of what the external world may bring. In the end, the Stoic understands that life is unpredictable and that outcomes are often beyond our control. But they also understand that the one thing they can control is how they respond to life's challenges. They know that true fulfillment comes not from the result, but from the pursuit of virtue. When we detach from the outcome, we free ourselves from the emotional fluctuations that come with success and failure. We can then act with clarity, wisdom, and strength, knowing that the only thing that truly matters is the integrity of our actions and the alignment of our choices with the values that define us. Through this practice, we cultivate a sense of peace that is impervious to the changing tides of life. 6. The role of reflection in strengthening character. The Stoic knows that the path to wisdom and self-mastery is not paved with impulsive actions or hasty decisions. It is, instead, the result of constant reflection, deliberate thought, and mindful self-examination. The Stoic understands that to navigate the challenges of life with clarity and strength, they must first know themselves, their values, and their weaknesses. It is through the practice of reflection that the Stoic cultivates a stronger character, one that is resilient in the face of criticism, judgment, and adversity. Reflection is the tool that allows us to examine our thoughts, actions, and emotions in the light of reason. It is in this process of self-reflection that we uncover the motivations behind our behaviors, the biases that influence our judgments, and the desires that shape our responses to the world. The Stoic does not act blindly or impulsively, but takes the time to pause, reflect, and ask, what is the right course of action? How does this situation align with my values? What can I learn from this experience? By engaging in regular reflection, we sharpen our ability to discern the truth from illusion, to see clearly what is within our control and what is not. We develop the wisdom to make better decisions, the courage to confront our weaknesses, and the strength to face criticism and judgment with grace. The more we reflect, the more we understand our own nature, and the more we come to realize that our true strength lies not in the opinions of others or in the outcome of our actions, but in our character. The Stoic approach to reflection is rooted in humility. It requires the recognition that we are not infallible, that we will make mistakes, and that there is always room for growth. The Stoic does not shy away from their flaws or shortcomings, but instead confronts them head-on, using each misstep as an opportunity for learning and self-improvement. Every mistake, every failure, and every moment of weakness is viewed not as a failure of character, but as an invitation to grow, to evolve, and to become a better version of ourselves. This practice of reflection is particularly valuable when dealing with criticism and judgment. When others criticize us, we may initially react with defensiveness, anger, or self-pity. But the Stoic, through the practice of reflection, is able to step back from these automatic emotional responses. They pause and ask themselves, what can I learn from this criticism? Is there any truth in it? What does it reveal about my own behavior or character? Rather than being consumed by pride or hurt, the Stoic uses the criticism as a mirror, reflecting on their actions and identifying areas for growth. Through reflection, the Stoic also becomes aware of their emotional reactions to external events. They understand that emotions such as anger, frustration, and resentment are natural, but they are not always accurate reflections of reality. The Stoic recognizes that their emotional responses are often the result of unexamined beliefs, irrational judgments, or attachments to outcomes. By reflecting on these emotions, the Stoic can gain clarity, see them for what they are, and choose a more measured response. Reflection is not just an individual exercise, but a practice that can be shared with others. The Stoic seeks out the counsel of wise individuals, learning from their experiences and gaining insight into their own thoughts and behaviors. By reflecting together, we are able to see our own blind spots and gain new perspectives. The Stoic understands that wisdom is not a solitary pursuit, but something that can be cultivated through dialogue, study, and the exchange of ideas. The Stoic also uses reflection to examine their goals, desires, and priorities. It is easy to become distracted by external influences, to chase after the fleeting rewards of fame, wealth, or power. But the Stoic understands that these things are not the true sources of fulfillment. Through reflection, the Stoic is able to clarify their purpose in life, to align their actions with their highest values, and to focus on what is truly important. The Stoic asks themselves, what is the true aim of my life? What kind of person do I wish to become? How can I live in a way that is aligned with virtue and wisdom? This constant process of self-examination ensures that the Stoic does not drift aimlessly through life, reacting to events without understanding their deeper significance. Instead, the Stoic is deliberate in their choices, aware of their values, and committed to living a life of integrity. Through reflection, the Stoic gains clarity of mind and purpose, which allows them to navigate the inevitable challenges of life with resilience and strength. The benefits of reflection extend beyond the individual. By engaging in reflection, the Stoic becomes more aware of their impact on the world around them. They recognize that their actions, words, and behaviors influence others, and that they have a responsibility to live in a way that promotes the common good. The Stoic does not live in isolation, but as part of a larger community, and their reflections help them to act with justice, compassion, and wisdom toward others. In times of criticism or judgment, reflection becomes an even more powerful tool. It is natural to feel hurt or defensive when others attack us, but the Stoic does not allow these emotions to govern their actions. Instead, they reflect on the situation with a calm and rational mind. They ask, what is the source of this criticism? Does it come from a place of wisdom or malice? What can I learn from it? By reflecting on the criticism in this way, the Stoic is able to respond with composure rather than reacting impulsively. They use criticism as an opportunity for self-growth, knowing that it is not the judgment of others that defines them, but their own character and response.